Good morning, America. As the sun rises over the nation's capital, few could have predicted the seismic shift that was about to unfold. Today, December 12, 2025, the Supreme Court dropped a legal bombshell that sent shockwaves through every corner of Washington and beyond. In a move that blindsided lawmakers, business leaders, and global markets alike, the justices struck down the Trump-era tariffs, those controversial taxes on imports that have dominated headlines, fueled political battles, and shaped economic policy for years. The decision, handed down after months of speculation and legal wrangling, wasn't just about trade. It was a direct challenge to presidential power, sending a clear message about the limits of executive authority. For years, presidents from both parties have stretched their authority, using executive orders to reshape trade and foreign policy. But today, the court just drew a thick, unmistakable line in the sand, dramatically shrinking the executive branch's reach and setting a new precedent for checks and balances. The tariffs, justified under a rarely used national security law, had become a permanent fixture in America's economic landscape, affecting everything from the price of cars to the cost of groceries, until today's stunning reversal. It's as if the Supreme Court just called the movers and cleared out years of entrenched policy in a single, sweeping decision. The reaction? Absolute chaos. Phones rang off the hook in boardrooms, factories, and congressional offices as leaders scrambled to understand what this meant for their industries, their jobs, and the future of American trade. Economists scrambled to rewrite forecasts, analysts rushed to update models, and politicians who built entire careers on tough trade policies suddenly found themselves searching for new talking points and strategies. This single ruling has thrown years of carefully crafted economic policy into the air, leaving experts and everyday Americans alike wondering where the pieces will land and what the future holds. It's a massive, nationwide game of Jenga, and the Supreme Court just yanked out the bottom block, leaving everyone holding their breath as the tower wobbles. Washington hasn't seen a morning like this in decades. The city is buzzing with uncertainty, anticipation, and the sense that history is being rewritten before our eyes. So, what exactly is a tariff, and why do countries use them in the first place? A tariff is basically a tax on imports, a kind of cover charge for foreign goods entering the country. When a product crosses the border, the government adds a fee, making it more expensive for consumers and businesses to buy. The main idea behind tariffs is to make imported products pricier, so that American-made goods look like a better deal. By raising the cost of foreign items, the hope is that shoppers will choose to buy local, supporting domestic industries and jobs. In 2018, the Trump administration put this idea into action, using a Cold War-era law, Section 232, to slap hefty tariffs on steel, aluminum, and a wide range of Chinese goods. The official reason? National security. The administration argued that relying too much on foreign steel and aluminum could put the U.S. military and infrastructure at risk. The logic was that if America couldn't produce its own steel, it might be vulnerable in times of conflict, since steel is crucial for everything from tanks to bridges. But these tariffs didn't just affect the U.S., they sparked a global trade war, with countries around the world scrambling to respond. China, for example, hit back with its own tariffs on American goods, especially targeting farm products like soybeans, which are a major U.S. export. Even America's closest allies like Europe and Canada retaliated with tariffs of their own, escalating tensions and making international trade even more complicated. The result? A worldwide economic food fight, with countries slapping tariffs on each other's goods, and global markets reacting with uncertainty. Supporters of the tariffs argued they protected American jobs, revived struggling industries, and forced other countries to play fair when it came to trade. But opponents, including many businesses and economists, warned that tariffs were a disaster, raising prices for everyday consumers and hurting U.S. companies that rely on imported materials and parts. The debate over tariffs was messy, expensive, and deeply divisive, with strong opinions on both sides and no easy answers. For years, tariffs became a political and economic headache, fueling uncertainty for businesses, workers, and families across the country. Now, after years of legal battles and public debate, the Supreme Court has stepped in and ended the standoff, making a major decision on the future of tariffs. The big question now is, what comes next for American trade policy, and how will it affect all of us going forward? How did this end up at the Supreme Court? A group of companies, tired of paying what they saw as an illegal tax, sued the government. Their argument: the president can't invent taxes, only Congress can regulate commerce. The Supreme Court agreed, ruling 6-3, that the executive branch had overstepped. The justices didn't weigh in on whether tariffs are good or bad, they focused on process. Using a decades-old law to wage a trade war was a misuse of presidential power. The decision reasserts the separation of powers. Congress makes trade rules, not the president. Billions in tariffs are now gone, vanished overnight. It's a legal and economic reset button. At the heart of this saga, who controls trade? The Constitution says Congress. Over time, Congress delegated some power to the president, especially for emergencies. The Trump-era tariffs used a law meant for rare crises, not sweeping economic changes. The Supreme Court just told Congress, "You gave away too much power, too vaguely." From now on, if America wants tariffs, Congress must debate, vote, and pass specific laws. It's slower, harder, and demands real accountability. The court's decision forces Congress to reclaim its constitutional duty. The Supreme Court's decision jolted the economy. Immediate winners: companies that import goods or use foreign materials. Think furniture makers and tech firms, their costs just dropped. Losers: domestic industries like steel and aluminum, now exposed to global competition. For American families, prices on everyday items, cars, appliances, even canned soup, should start to fall as tariffs disappear. The stock market went wild, import-heavy companies soared, steel and aluminum stocks plunged. The overall market is optimistic, betting on more predictable open trade. The transition will be messy, but many see this as a long-term win for business. Economic protectionism always creates winners and losers. Today, the balance just shifted. The uncertainty of the trade war is finally lifting. Investors are betting on a new era of stability. But for some industries and workers, the pain is real and immediate. The fallout is just beginning. To truly understand the impact of shifting trade policies, let's meet two Americans whose lives are shaped by these decisions. Brenda, an Iowa soybean farmer, and Dave, a steelworker from Pennsylvania, each representing a different side of the economic coin. For Brenda, today brings hope and relief, a lifeline she's been waiting for. When China retaliated with tariffs, Brenda's market for soybeans disappeared almost overnight, leaving her future uncertain and her family's livelihood at risk. Now, with US tariffs lifted, Brenda can once again sell her soybeans to buyers around the world, opening doors that had been slammed shut. Demand for her crops is expected to rebound, bringing back customers and restoring confidence in her farm's future. After years of anxiety and financial strain, Brenda finally sees a path forward, where stability and growth might return. For Brenda and many in American agriculture, this is more than just business. It's a chance to rebuild their lives and communities. But for Dave, the steelworker, the same decision feels like a nightmare unfolding. Tariffs had shielded his mill from foreign competition, giving his company a fighting chance to survive. That protection led to new investments, upgrades in machinery, and even the creation of much-needed jobs in his community. With those tariffs now gone, Dave's company faces a flood of cheaper foreign steel, making it harder to compete and threatening their hard-won gains. The choices ahead are grim: wage cuts, layoffs, or even the closure of the mill that has supported families for generations. Dave sees this as a setback for American workers, a blow to their dignity and security. To him, it feels like a victory handed to foreign competitors at the expense of his own community. While Brenda celebrates the return of free trade and new opportunities, Dave mourns what he sees as the loss of fair trade and the security it once brought. Trade policy, as always, creates both winners and losers, lifting some up while leaving others behind. For every Brenda who finds hope, there's a Dave who faces new uncertainty. The Supreme Court's decision is a lifeline for some, but a painful blow for others, dividing communities and families. The debate over who truly benefits from these policies is far from settled, and the conversation continues in town halls and homes across America. This is the human cost of economic change, a story of hope and hardship, written in the lives of everyday Americans. Politicians rushed to spin the Supreme Court's decision. Tariff opponents called it a win for the rule of law and the economy. Pro-tariff voices blasted the court, vowing to fight back and reimpose tariffs through Congress. The stage is set for a major legislative battle. Trade policy is now a top election issue. The White House, caught in the middle, lost a key negotiating tool and faces pressure from all sides. Now, Congress must debate and vote. No more hiding behind executive orders. Politicians will have to choose between consumers and protected industries, exposing deep divisions in both parties. The political landscape has been reshuffled overnight. The real debate over America's trade future is just beginning. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves worldwide. America's allies, Europe, Canada, Japan, are likely to lift their retaliatory tariffs, normalizing trade for the first time in years. Global supply chains, disrupted by years of uncertainty, may finally stabilize. The removal of tariffs is a green light for international commerce and could boost global growth. The US-China relationship remains complicated. Tariffs are gone, but deeper issues persist. Customs must stop collecting billions in tariffs immediately, and importers may sue to recover past payments. Congress now faces a flood of proposals, from targeted tariffs to sweeping trade reforms. The legislative fight will be long and messy. Ultimately, this is about more than trade. It's about democracy. The decision reaffirms that big economic choices belong in Congress, not the Oval Office. Checks and balances are real, and they matter. The road ahead will be bumpy, but the rules are clearer. America, and the world, are watching what happens next.